Mr. Shea? Ms. Wilson?
Yes. Okay. Information items, we have a request for the RFQ for the new access to staff manhole near A40 and M49.
Thank you, Sylvia. Other members, you should have a map that shows you various colors of the interceptor system. Where there is red, dark, thick red line, that indicates that the interceptor is more than 50% full of sediment. ALCOSAN's consent decree requires that when that occurs, where feasible, we have to do something about that. So we are asking for RFQs, permission to go out for RFQs for 2 new shaft manholes in the vicinity of A40, which is just downstream of Heth's Run, and then downstream of M49, which is Ravine Street. That's Whitaker and Munhall. And those access shafts enable us to perform some cleaning. So, the scope of the work would be to do geotechnical borings and surveys where necessary, get permits. There's likely going to be some easements necessary. We did add also to this request for quals to make some modifications to our 015 Lowry's Run structure. Those modifications would improve access for our crews to maintain the system and also improve overflow statistics. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
All right, hearing none, we can move on to the next. It's interesting, by the way. It always shows you how there's work never done. Always something pops up. Okay, are you hearing me at all?
Yes, ma'am.
We are.
Okay, just making sure. All right, we can move on to action items. And the first being to approve the short list for the CSO bypass and disinfection project.
Yes, thank you. So this is action item A. We issued an RFQ for this CSO bypass and disinfection at the end of May. A information meeting was held virtually on Microsoft Teams. It was very well attended, and we, ALCOSAN received 10 submittals on June 26th, which was a really good showing. We evaluated the 10 submittals and met earlier this week, and we bring to you the recommendation of the 4 firms, Black & Veatch, GHD, Hatch, and Mott McDonald, to go to the next phase of the procurement, which would be they would now receive the RFP and obviously would do interviews as well. This is the next package for the wet weather plant expansion. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, hearing none, could I have a motion and a second to approve this action item?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Item B, motion to recommend the modification of service authorization agreement for Jacobs under the agreement for engineering consultant services for an additional 6 months with no cost extension of services.
Yes, so this Jacobs is one of the program managers for this program. It's the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Source Control Program. They have fallen a little behind due to COVID, and they have some of their budget left. So we're extending their review to cycle 6 of the GROW program. And since the controlling the source date of the report got pushed out, this will enable them to finalize that as well. No additional funds are requested, just an additional 6 months at this time. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
All right, I hear no questions, so may I have a second and a motion and a second, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C, the motion to recommend modification of service authorization 350 for AE work under the agreement for engineering consultant services to perform additional design services for the build out of the third floor and additional utility location verification for the lab and waste facility in the amount of $114,908. Okay.
Okay, so this is, if you remember, last December, we awarded the design of the lab and parking garage to AE Works. So we've been chugging along pretty good, and in the original service authorization, it was to identify whether or not a third floor is doable. And it ended up that it was. So in the original service authorization, they had just to build an empty third floor. And so this change is just to build it out to meet our needs with offices, electrical, mechanical, things of that nature. And then the second piece, the little piece, is just for a little bit further digging into the underground utilities. That's something that came out of the VE and bringing the CM on board, but they really think that this will provide us value and mitigating our risk as we move towards construction of the parking garage. And if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, I'm not hearing any questions, and I don't have any myself, so may I have a motion and a second to approve, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I believe we're moving on to D.
Correct.
Okay. So, yeah, I think it's D.
Yes.
Here's part of the with some floods and stuff like that. That's always great. That's always interesting stuff. Okay. Go ahead and look at this, please, and get a little explanation on it.
Yeah, so this is for the return activated sludge improvements project. And this will be familiar to you because we are opening the bids next Wednesday with the anticipation of bringing the contracts for recommendation for award at the July board meeting. So this is in line with that award. HDR was the final design consultant for the RAS project. So this is the services during construction and startup. And it also bundles some of the out of scope design items that happened as the design progressed. So we are very close in the negotiations, but what I'm asking for today is a not to exceed amount of 1.8 million. And then we will continue to negotiate and bring that number down further for the July board meeting. If you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second to approve, please?
I can't seem to find that on my agenda.
It's about, it says, service authorization 335 for HDR engineering under the agreement for engineering consultant services to perform services during construction and for additional scope items completed during the design phase for the return activated sludge pipe and pump replacement project for an amount of $1,100,000.
Sylvia, what action number is that?
It's D like in dog, David Lee like in David.
I see it. Okay, D, let me see. I think I got that. All right. Okay, I'm sorry. I just lost my place.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's this virus that got me.
Hey, I'm sitting here melting. I'm in church trying to get stuff done and I'm melting. I'm sitting there. I thought I was the one that was missing my place.
Well, listen, you want a motion? Motion made.
Okay,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, item E, motion to recommend the service authorization to DAI consultants for an amount not to exceed $44,700, and they're going to provide additional engineering support services during an ongoing stack test. All right?
Ms. Wilson, fellow committee members, this is the second of the yearly requests for stack testing service support. It was anticipated that this request would come later in the year, but simply based upon the general operation of testing that we're doing on one of the units in September, we decided to move up a typical December testing to August of this year. So this ask of 44.7 is to support testing to be done in August that makes the operational flexibility of having units online and offline be more in line with what our needs are. GAI has supported us since the inception of the stack testing requirements of the SSI rules as presented by EPA. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Well, thank you so much. I'm sitting here thinking about, is it better to do it in the summer or is it better to do it in the winter? Temperature wise, what I was thinking.
That's because you're melting.
All right, no questions, I'll take a motion and a second to approve. All right, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item F, the motion to recommend modification of the service authorization 327 for McCormick Taylor under the agreement for communication consultant services, an amount not to exceed $25,000. They will provide technical support through to the end of December. If no technical support is required, then there will be no cost incurred, which makes all kinds of sense.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. If you recall, McCormick Taylor is the vendor that helped us build the new ALCOSAN website. As we continue to make some larger improvements, also by the end of December this year, we will no longer have Three Rivers Proud as a separate website. So we're going to need their technical help, possibly for integrating that material into our current website. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'm not hearing any. So can I go ahead and have a motion and a second to approve, please? All right, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is new business. Or is there anything that anyone wants to share with us at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then, I guess we're going to adjourn and we won't be meeting again until September. All right, everybody be safe. Things are
You
getting
too.
crazy out there, so just watch yourself, everybody.
Thank you. You as well.